We are on the ground with our reporter Karinda Jagmohan this morning. Karinda, great to see you. It is the morning after what was an incredible weather event in Inanda yesterday. What are residents telling you?
Good morning, Michelle. Residents are rebuilding. Some of them say that the tornado that struck Inanda just yesterday in a matter of 10 minutes was worse than the impact of the floods in this specific area from last year. I'm going to speak to Spamandla Dumisa. So thank you for speaking to us. Tell us about what you saw when the tornado came yesterday.
Hey, bekunzima izolo seswami. Bekunzima kakhulu ngoba lento iqale within 5 minutes. After that everything is damaged.
How were the things flying around here?
Hey, it's flying like a paper. It's flying like a paper. So, stingi material, stingi ukudla, yokuthi sibhilde izindlu zethu, asina kudla, asina ma document. Stingi material, into esijahile ukuze sikwazi ukuthi impilo iqhubeke iye phambili.
And what happened to your food last night, sir?
Ukudla kwami konke kubonakele, gcwele amanzi. Angazi ngizophekana.
How long is it going to take you to rebuild your home?
Even mangathola uthayela namaplangwe ngakhona ukubuild indlu yami.
Spamandla, thank you for speaking to us. Spamandla says that the residents here, they need building materials. Thank you, sir. I just want to show our viewers behind you what has happened here. My colleague Spungiseng Gubande will show you that residents are rebuilding here. You'll see this was a structure that used to be here, Michelle. It was made of wood here, but everything has broken down and the residents need building material. We'll also just show you another structure nearby here. My colleague Spungiseng Gubande showing you how this informal structure collapsed completely. It's made out of corrugated iron, planks, tiles. The mattresses within the homes are also soaked completely. You're seeing one right now, perhaps. And so residents need building materials. But just earlier when we're having a conversation, they said they need stronger building materials now because certainly they're seeing that the natural disasters that are happening so frequently, their homes cannot withstand the impact of this. Of course, we know that later today there will be a government visit to these sites, the eThekwini Mayor and the Minister of Human Settlements. But at the same time, while residents are recovering, there is an ad hoc parliamentary group that is on the ground to investigate the government's response to the April 2022 floods. This was a meeting that they had planned a long time ago, but it's ironic that that meeting is happening now while these residents here in Inanda are recovering from yet another natural disaster and of course need help to rebuild. Last night we were told that more than 50 people might have lost their homes and everything in it, like Spamandla is saying, clothing, documents, even food destroyed by that torrential rain last night, and this is the aftermath that you see here. What we have seen though in this part of Inanda, Dube village, is that the solid structures, so the brick structures are still standing strong. Some of the roofs have blown away that was made of corrugated iron, but it's mostly the informal structures that have crumbled. And you can imagine that those who are living in the informal structures cannot afford to buy more material to rebuild. That's why they were living in that situation in the first place. So it is, of course, shows the crisis of social ills here in Inanda, in another impoverished community like many others countrywide that has now been hit with a natural disaster. And that is what you're seeing on the ground. By about 8:30, that government delegation will be here to conduct an oversight visit and also to give us the final tally from what they've heard from the disaster management teams with exactly how many people have been injured and if any fatalities were recorded. There were reports of a fatality that occurred yesterday, a man having been drowned in a river quite a distance away from here. Of course, police or disaster management teams need to officially place that on record. But at this point, what is the situation on the ground in Inanda currently is residents in this cold today must try and rebuild their homes, at least for tonight, or try and get shelter elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's perhaps even more staggering there, as we stay on your live picture, Karinda, is that so many residents in the background of your picture seen going to work this morning, trying to continue with their lives the morning after this devastating weather event.
Absolutely. I mean, take a look at the lady who's walking with her bag. She dressed up this morning. She's got to go to work, of course, because that is the day-to-day business. You know, you've got to go to work. She is, of course, it's unclear whether she was exactly impacted by this again. Some of the most solid structures are still standing strong, but there is flooding still. Regardless, as I stand here, I can see that even her boots are still wet that she's wearing right now. She's just taken a detour past us. But again, I've even seen school pupils, so most likely matriculants, heading off in their uniform, most likely for holiday classes at this point. Remember, there are many, it is school holidays, so at this point, the residents or parents have to ensure that they can find a safe place for their children. We were told last night that some community halls may have opened up just to ensure that at least there's shelter and warm clothes for some. There's also been a request by the neighborhood watch that we were speaking to last night for residents to at least assist with donating warm clothes, food, blankets, everything that you can imagine was lost during this time. I mean, you can take a look at the ladies that are standing there before you. They're in their gowns still, and many of the residents here have said their clothes are still soaking wet from the torrential rains. It was just pelting down last night. And while these residents recover around us, it's seemingly business as usual. There's even traffic on the way out of Inanda because ultimately these residents are employees. They've got to go to work. Perhaps some have managed to grab a day off to recover, but not everyone might be as lucky. And this is the situation they find themselves in today. Michelle, another natural disaster hitting Durban in this way.
Absolutely. And what a harrowing night it must have been for residents there, for them to try and pick up the pieces the morning after. And of course, Karinda, as you say, the irony of that Parliamentary Oversight Committee coming to KZN for that meeting, for that oversight visit today, and that's related to the 2022 flooding. Of course, that irony is not lost on us. Karinda Jagmohan is live to us there in Inanda with the latest on the aftermath of the tornado there.